Zetsubou shita. Hey everybody, Sol here. I have only one rule here. If it's animated, I'll comment on it. And you know what? I hate school. I have always hated school. And while I am grateful that I grew up in a country that has a public education system, I still think that schools are bullshit. However, I believe that if I had gone to a school that was like the one in this anime series, Sayonara Zetsubou-Sensei, I probably would have had a lot more fun. Or I might have been as dumb as a post and cynical as a morally righteous mule stuck in a vat of quicksand and failed dreams. I'm sorry, what? Okay, so I'm pretty sure you all know by now that it's time to take a look into Sol's history book. So let's take a look in its pages of infinite wisdom, shall we? Alright, let's see. Looking for the right page here. Yeah, here we go. Alright. So, Sayonara Zetsubou-Sensei, which means Goodbye Mr. Despair in English, was a manga series created by Koji Kumeta and ran from 2005 to 2012 in Weekly Shonen magazine. 3 anime series based off of the original manga, Sayonara Zetsubou-Sensei, Zoku Sayonara Zetsubou-Sensei, and Zan Sayonara Zetsubou-Sensei, were created and aired from 2007 to 2009 in Japan. And they were all directed by Akiyuki Shinbo and produced by Shaft. Note, in the Furikuri review I claimed that my favorite anime production companies were Bones, Shaft, and Production IG. However, this was an error. My favorite anime production companies are, from first to third, Shaft, Madhouse, and Bones. I apologize for this error, and now back to your regularly scheduled review. That was weird. Okay, well anyway, pencils down, because it's time to take a good look into the Sayonara Zetsubou-Sensei franchise. I'm gonna be completely honest here and say that this series, while it does have a loose plot, completely loses it as it progresses. Anyway, the plot revolves around the titular Zetsubou-Sensei Itoshiki Nozomu, an incredibly negative young teacher who educates a classroom full of anime and Japanese culture stereotypes, yet his teachings are always ridiculous, over the top, and filled with negative posturing. While the original Zetsubou-Sensei series focuses mainly on introducing these characters and their various mannerisms and quirks, the latter 2 series instead focus on satirizing modern Japanese culture and completely sheds any and all pretense of a plot. But, meh, doesn't really matter I suppose, because comedy is the purpose of the show and it pulls it off well. So this is another one of those anime series with just a whole shitload of characters. I mean, not quite as many as Shiki or anything, but still way too many for me to go into each one individually, so we'll just have to make do with a cursory glance today. Itoshiki Nozomu is the famed Zetsubou-Sensei, and he is, without fail, ludicrously negative about every aspect of his life, culture, and country. Oh, and he constantly attempts to kill himself in amusing ways as well. However, he never succeeds, and it's unclear whether or not he actually really does want to commit suicide. Anyway, as the series progresses, Nozomu steadily loses his moral detachment from his bevy of crazy caricature students, and becomes more involved in their crazy bullshit. And that's when he starts to get really funny, when he joins in on all the insanity. Nozomu is a character you kinda just want to give a really big hug to, because he's always so miserable and has to put up with a lot of stupid bullshit. But then again, you get the impression that he's enjoying himself after a while, so never mind, I guess? Itoshiki-sensei's students are, like I said, all made to be parodies and caricatures of typical anime and Japanese culture stereotypes, and their various reactions to their teachers' teachings are always amusing to watch, if a little overplayed at times. There's Kafka Fuda, a super positive girl who looks at anything and everything with a sunny disposition, Chiri Kitsu, an incredibly obsessive girl who demands proper and neat behavior from everyone, resulting in her showing her murderous side, Abiru Kobushi, a bondage stereotype girl who has an intense tail fetish, Kiri Komori, a hikikomori who's mistaken for a zashiki warashi, aka a spirit who brings great fortune to a house as long as the spirit remains inside, Matoi Tsunetsuki, a crazy stalker who falls deeply in love with Itoshiki-sensei and is constantly peering at him from the shadows, Nami Hito, a normal girl who's as normal can be, Taro Maria Sekiutsu, an immigrant from an unknown country who never wears panties or shoes, Meru Otonashi, a shy girl who never speaks but sends rude and insulting text messages, Harumi Fujiyoshi, a super athletic girl with a creepy obsession for homosexually pairing anime and manga characters, Kaede Kimura, also known as Kaede, a girl with split personalities who constantly believes she's being sexually harassed, Kagero Usui, a perverted, balding young man who's constantly being ignored until his comb-over is brushed aside, and Jun Kudo, a master storyteller who has the ability to drive anyone to tears with his rhetoric. Jesus, I still have a lot of characters to go, but I think I'm gonna stop there. I don't have all day, you know. While I do enjoy all the characters and their various defining traits, sometimes it's very easy to predict what their reactions will be to whatever silly lesson Itoshiki-sensei is trying to teach them, and it does get a little tiresome seeing them react the same way nearly every time. They're still funny as hell though, don't get me wrong. Damn man, you know, I feel bad that I can't dedicate all my time to going over every single character individually, but you know, I do have a schedule to keep and everything, and oh shit, I'm already out of time. So, with that being said, let's move on to the good and the bad things in this series. Because I ain't got the time to keep going. Now, I will just say before I go into detail about the good things in this series, is that if you don't have at least a decent grasp of Japanese culture, you may be shit out of luck, because that is the biggest aspect of what makes this show good. So, getting right into it, the best thing about this series is the plot lines. I mean, this series has basically no overarching plot or anything, but I mean the many topics that Itoshiki-sensei and his students cover or satirize or become swept up in are, for the most part, always amusing and actually thought-provoking at times. I mean, not enough to have you embark on a mystic, soul-searching journey into the mountains to find that the real answer was inside you all along, but just enough to make you stop and say, oh, yeah, I do notice, and or do that. Also, this series has some great animation. It's very experimental in some regards, but for the most part, I love the wispy, sort of papery look that the series in general has. It always looks purposefully flat, and never has any depth to it, almost like a manga page come to life. Which is what I suppose that's what it is, duh. When the show gets a little bit more experimental with the animation style, it's always well done, and a lot of fun to watch. Plus, I love all the many running jokes in the background, like the numerous notes hidden somewhere in the scenery, like the stork that makes the sound of a passing jet plane, the emperor penguin, this dude sitting reading a book I have no idea who the fuck he is, the clandestine panty shots, and all the other little background tidbits that accumulate as the series go on. In addition, I find that the comedy gets quite a bit stronger the further into the series you get, especially in Sayonara Zetsubou-Sensei. Once the series rapes the fourth wall and completely sheds the pretense of having a plot like a coked-up snake, it becomes way funnier. The parallels to Japanese culture that it makes start to extend outside of its own cultural borders and becomes much more amusing as it does so, even if the character reactions do get a bit tired after a while. Okay, that is quite enough for the good things in this. The good things in the series is what I was saying. So let's move on to the bad things as well. As I said before, one of the worst aspects of this series is just that it becomes too predictable with the reactions that the characters have to Itoshiki-sensei's shenanigans. I mean, they're still funny, but it basically gets to the point where the characters themselves start pointing out that their reactions are predictable. That's never a good sign. And that actually brings me to my next point, is that the series, after the original Sayonara Zetsubou-Sensei episodes, completely nukes the fourth wall. While some people think fourth wall gags are funny, I personally have never been a fan of such things. The series pokes fun at itself like you wouldn't even believe, and yet, when it does make an interesting point, or have a somewhat thoughtful moment, it basically fucks it all up by once again shattering the fourth wall. Also, the fan service gets a little out of control in some parts. I mean, yeah, it's a parody anime, but when it gets to the point where it stops being parody of fan service and just turns into, you know, fan service. The panty shots, the Yuri scenes, the jiggling tits, all of these are, well, very intriguing, are fairly distracting and unnecessary to someone who didn't come into the series looking for such things. The last thing to mention is just in the Sayonara Zetsubou-Sensei series and isn't in the previous series. Whenever Chirikitsu speaks, her punctuation shows up on screen. Originally, it flashed in a different screen that made you feel like you were going to have a seizure, but afterwards they just put it on the same screen in the lower right corner. I don't really understand the point of it because it's not funny or clever or anything really, it's just obnoxious and makes me dread whenever she's on screen. Alrighty then, let's stop harping on about the bad things in this series and let's move on to my least favorite and my favorite episode from this series. So, Picking a least favorite episode for this series is extremely tough because all the episodes are fragmented from each other and have no plot connections whatsoever. I'm gonna say that my least favorite is just general dislike of every topic in the episode. So, with that being said, I think my least favorite is gonna have to be the forelock that has just been opened. That's just the name of the first segment, but just go with it, okay? I got nothing else. This episode's topics involve a parody of Commander Perry, an American commodore known for opening up trade ports with Japan to allow foreign trade, who tries to open up various things around him, including Itoshiki-sensei's mind. This particular story is told with 2 sets of differing subtitles, while the characters themselves speak complete gibberish. The other topic involves Itoshiki-sensei complaining about the over-decoration of modern Japanese culture, which causes his supposed old friend Iku-san to show up and take his side. Why is this episode my least favorite? Mostly just the fact because I don't like reading 2 sets of subtitles for a story I don't find interesting, and also this is one of those topics that I feel no connection to whatsoever. Again, picking a favorite episode was just as tough as picking a least favorite episode because, as I said, all the plots are fragmented from each other. So, I'd have to say that the one I enjoyed the most, every topic on all accounts, would have to be House of the Child of Glasses. The topics in this episode are as follows. Itoshiki-sensei claims a ghost stole his glasses, so he goes to buy a new pair. However, the glasses he buys are tinted glasses, which cause whoever to wear them to become prejudiced. The second topic involves Rin, Nozomu's younger sister, who becomes bored and decides to buy people's homes to make a path towards a ramen store. Plus, Nami lifts her leg to get attention from people. This episode is my favorite mostly just because I can understand every topic and can relate to it in some way, plus the comedy's pretty strong in this episode all throughout. It doesn't have too much pointless stuff thrown into the mix like the other episodes. Sayonara Zetsubou-Sensei and its sequel series are great fun. They have this undeniable energy to them and this charisma that is just so enjoyable. However, like I said, if you're not knowledgeable or a fan of Japanese culture and their various idiosyncrasies, you might have a hard time getting behind some of what's going on in the show. I mean, to the uninitiated, it can still be enjoyable and everything, you just might not enjoy it quite as much as you want to. I give Sayonara Zetsubou-Sensei and its sequel series 3.5 eyes out of 5. That was neat. Anyway, yes, 3.5 eyes out of 5. Which means that it's very enjoyable. On most accounts, it's really enjoyable. It's got a few things here or there that makes it a little bit annoying, but for the most part, it's an enjoyable experience. So, Sayonara Zetsubou-Sensei. Is it watchable? Yeah, it is. Although, as I keep saying, if you're not a fan or knowledgeable about Japanese culture and their mannerisms, everything like that, you might have a hard time getting behind what's going on. Is it enjoyable? Well, yeah, it is. I mean, definitely for its comedy and its zaniness, it's enjoyable, but if you're looking for something with more of an emphasis on plot, you may want to keep moving along. Is it memorable? Well, some of the points it makes are definitely memorable, and its animation style is quite memorable. In fact, it's too memorable. You could say it's unforgettable, that it preys on your mind. You could almost say, I'm in despair. Hey everybody, thanks for watching my review of Sayonara Zetsubou-Sensei and its sequel series. Hope you liked it. If you want to see more of my stuff, you can hit the annotations playing in the video right now, or you can hit subscribe to follow my channel because I really do appreciate every subscriber that I get. Plus, I just want to give a shout out to Catterday Cartoons, who did the opening Wannabee Studios title card for this video. It's going to be at the beginning of every video from now on. He does good work, so if you want to check out his channel, there will be a link in the description for it. Plus, I want to thank Nibibble for doing the ratings animation, which are also going to be in every episode from now on. He did a really good job as well, and these guys are super nice, so I will also have a link to his channel in my description, so if you want to check out his stuff, feel free to do that as well. Plus, as always, there's a link to my Twitch channel, my Twitter page, and my Facebook fan page in the description, as well as you can see there in the video. And yeah, if you want to check them out, leave me any kind of note, whatever, I don't mind. I would really appreciate it. Thanks. As always, if you have an idea for an animated series or movie you want me to comment on, you can leave me a message in the YouTube comments on any of my social media platforms. You can Shit, I don't have a funny thing for this time either. I'm getting lazy apparently. But basically, just anywhere that I can read, you can leave me a suggestion, and I will consider every suggestion that I get. Alright, thanks again for watching everyone, and I will see you next time.